All right, good day, good day. Welcome back to the one-to-one series. My name is Martin Redmayne, Super Yacht Report, and the Super Yacht Forum live program of our one-to-one digital dialogues. I've got with me today the wonderful Richie Blake, all the way from the Döhle yacht management team. You're now the big cheese there, aren't you, Richie?
Yeah, unfortunately, Martin, I think I was the last person in the room to put their hand down, and I ended up with the big hat to wear. But yeah, as you know, I joined Döhle about five and a half years ago from Cayman, where I was the deputy director, and then started the technical team up and started to build up the infrastructure. Opened the office in the UK, where we've now got, I think, 12 people working out of this office now, so it's growing quite quickly here. And gradually, as time's gone on, the company's always been looking at succession planning and these sorts of things, and my name got to the top of the list, and here we are.
Wonderful stuff. Wonderful stuff. Listen, Richie, I've got a title here called Managing Expectations, Problem or Solution. That's really the theme of the topic. You're in the project management, yacht management, technical management world. It's a very interesting, evolving marketplace, and I think there's a lot of things we can discuss. If I throw the first question at you, which is almost my it's the gentle introductory question. What would you say is the most frustrating thing about this industry?
Yeah, I guess that in reality, Martin, you've known me a number of years, and I'm a born optimist, so perhaps the wrong person to ask that question of. But I think the things that would frustrate me, where you see organizations, not just yacht managers, but anyone throughout the industry going for a quick win. You know, in my opinion, there's no such thing as a quick win. If you win quickly, someone's lost quickly. Yeah. I think as an organization, as a company, as an industry, we have to look to the long term. We have to try to build relationships, to understand our clients' needs, what they want to achieve from this amazing thing that we call yachting, to come to the heart of managing expectation. You know, if we can just get to the back of that, then we can obviously better service them, and they are the best ambassadors we're going to have. You know, they're going to bring, the owners are going to bring more owners to the table, more potential charterers, more potential purchasers to get excited about this industry. And we were involved in a project a little while ago where we picked up a client that had been pretty poorly serviced, and I had to explain to them. I said, well, look, I'm not here to speak ill of the last people, but when you go into a shipyard and we've got a few 10,000 euros or whatever it is set aside for some teak work, for example, you lift the teak up and you find the deck underneath is rotten. Now, there are a few things you can do from that. You can replace the entire deck, which comes at a cost in both time and money. And you have to remember whose money it is you're spending. So that's the time to have a discussion with the owner or with the principal or with someone within their team and say, okay, we've discovered this. We can replace the steelwork. We can put a compound down and then put the teak back on. But these are the options that we're facing. And in terms of the cost of it, we can trim what we're doing somewhere else in this refit, or we can accept the fact there's an extra cost. You know, these are intelligent people we're dealing with. Let's just be honest. Let's be open. Let's speak to the owner's rep and say, look, this is the reality of what we found.
In your opinion, though, Richie, why do you think we are not as open and candid and honest as we should be? Because it's been a sort of, I say, an ongoing problem with the market. I'm not saying from your perspective, but we hear these stories all the time.
Yeah. I there's a degree of, I guess there's the clients in many cases. Again, some of you and I discussed ad infinitum. We all know there is no such thing as the yacht owner. You can't say I went to see the yacht owner. Every yacht owner has a different motivation for wanting to own a yacht, be it privacy, security, amazing access to fabulous places. They want to see the glaciers. They want to go down the coast of South America and take photographs. They want to dive the Great Barrier Reef, whatever it may be. There's a million reasons to want a yacht. So to try and say the yacht owner is nonsense before you begin. But so many yacht owners are obviously yacht owners are very wealthy people, and they know their own mind. And perhaps there's a degree of reticence, to be honest. You know, there's maybe a degree of fear in some parts of the industry in saying, look, I know we said it's going to cost 4 million. It's actually going to cost 8. I know we said it would take 3 weeks. It's actually going to take 10. You know, these are just ridiculous numbers. But I think the owners that I have dealt with directly, and the owners' representatives that we have dealt with directly, respect that degree of honesty. You know, if we say, look, this is what we need to do, then we can talk about all of the options of how to get to where we want to be. But that's the way it's got to be. You know, I spoke about one of the owners that I have quite a close relationship with. And I really get along with them very, very well. They want to talk about the budget and where they could cut it and this, that, and the other. And this is a very flippant thing, but it was because of the nature of our relationship. I was able to say, I said, well, no problem at all. So look, if you want to cut the budget, we can put a 0 in the fuel line. You know, we don't have to buy any fuel, but you have to pay for hotel for the crew because the generators won't be running, and when you want to get to be quite boring on board. You know, we can look at how we can do this, but we have to live within the bounds of reality. And I think that if more of the industry took that, not only directly with the owner like that, but with each other. You know, we have owners reps coming to us saying, "Oh, we're going to do a build. I've never been involved in a build before, but I want to do this build." Well, perhaps someone who's never done a build before isn't the right person to do it. Happily to have you involved and engaged, and let's do it all together and let's make sure we get it right. But people being honest with each other and being willing to bring things in. Our team are very, very good at what we do, but we're not scared to bring in other teams.
Yes. Yes.
So in that way, you know, we accept the fact that there are people in the world that are better at understanding the transmission of noise and vibration across a ship's hull. So perhaps when you're looking at a noise and vibration issue, you bring in an expert to help you get the right answer for the ultimate beneficial owner.
Yeah, I think that almost part of that world of insecurity we're in terms of people either having ego issues or the inability to say, "I don't know." And I think that's another part of the whole process, is that and I think this is an interesting subject, is when an owner chooses the team or chooses the people, chooses the partner, that due diligence process or that selection process is not very straightforward, not very easy, in my opinion, because how do you make sure you've got the right people for the right job?
Yeah, it's a tremendously difficult thing. You know, and it goes right the way across the industry. Again, it's not just from owner to yacht manager or owner to broker or owner to whoever whoever in the owner's team are engaging with us as an industry to generalize.
Yeah.
You know, I've been involved in a number of what is laughingly called the beauty parade. Well, naturally. But I think we need to take a whole team approach. You know, if I'm sitting in front of an owner and they've got some questions about the import and export and VAT and things like that, I can talk in general terms about these things. Yeah. But we have people in our team who are experts at that specific thing. Now, I wouldn't trust them if you want to talk stability, I wouldn't give them the job to do. But you know, it's about a whole team approach. But saying that this is never mind me, I'm just the front man. Our team, this amazing group of people that we brought together, can service you, and when it can service your needs. And when they say when you want to talk about the use of funds in charter, import, export, and these sorts of things, yes, you need to talk to someone from that team, the head of that team, who will explain how all that works in far more detail, give you much more confidence than I could ever give you. And equally with every other aspect of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's an interesting subject in terms of this attention span we have of our clients and their ability to lose focus, let's say is the word maybe can be used, because there's a lot of complex issues or flexible issues we need to deal with these clients. Is this whole sort of decision-making process something that becomes overcomplicated, that people just get frustrated by yachting?
I don't know. I think we're engaged in a potential build at the moment. We're giving the owner in question has a captain who he's been friends with and had a relationship with for 20 plus years. Yep. And it's wonderful when you see that sort of thing, I have to say. A lot of people are very negative about these sorts of things. Oh, well, you're going to get this. But I see it as the fact that I'm able to engage on a daily basis practically with someone who's known that family, seen the children grow up, seen the grandchildren arrive, and albeit from an employee's perspective, but also they've been very, very close to us on the boat. So I've got a huge insight into what that family like, what they want to do, what they want to achieve, and things like that. So in doing that, we've been able to outline, okay, we need to look at a couple of designers. What sort of design does the principal couple enjoy? What do they want? What do they want to get from their boat? And then we can say, okay, from our experience, I'd recommend you talk to these 2 or 3 designers rather than just going out to the whole market and picking one randomly or whatever it may be you're intending to do. And then build, okay, what sort of styling do they like? What sort of boat are they looking for? Are they looking for this fast, a little thing to go around the coast? Or are they looking for some long-term voyages, these sort of things? So get it, and then we say, okay, well, these are the shipyards that I think build that style of boat for you. So you can go, you know, whilst it may be, this is not the details of this particular project, but for example, if the owner liked Italian styling but wanted for whatever reason wanted to build it in whichever shipyard because they'd had previous experience of that, well, then you need to find the right designer that can carry that styling onto the platform that shipyard does. And it's just been able to bring, so the captain's bringing all that fabulous information from the owner to us. We're bringing a bit of understanding of the industry and how these things go and mapping out for them, okay, this is the rough costs you're going to be looking at, and this is the way you can do it. And there's no you can walk away at any stage throughout this process. You're not committed, but then when it comes to the shipyard, you're signing a letter of intent. Now we've selected a shipyard, we've done our due diligence and everything else. We're signing a letter of intent. We're engaging with that shipyard. We have agreed to take ownership of that product and the stage payments and other such things. So it's to say to the owner, yeah, you're not committing today just because you've asked a couple of designers to do some drawings for you, but if there is a cost involved. Okay, you're not committing today because you're now looking more close at the GA and what boats you put on there. But then there is a point of commitment, obviously. And by laying it out like that for this particular captain, and they've obviously taken that information to the principal, and it's moving forward. It's an exciting project.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting. The whole thing is part of the process that is within our hands, as it were, is to encourage people to stay positive and stay engaged, and that's a fairly tricky process in many cases, and sometimes we get it wrong, sometimes we get it right.
Yeah.
What's your secret?
My amazing strategy I will share with the world. My amazing strategy when I joined Döhle, when I was at Cayman as well, was to surround myself with the most positive, enthusiastic, intelligent, wonderful people that I could find, and then they will find things to do for the company, and everything will work from there. When I joined Döhle, I inherited an amazing team already, and I've just gone about adding to that team. We've had Brendan O'Shaughnessy's joined us, Joe Assail, Ben Geary, for example, just saying 3 have joined more recently. And in doing that, we're just surrounding ourselves with these highly competent, highly professional people. And in that way, it progresses. And I think as an industry, what we need to do is there's 2 aspects to this. So as an industry, we need to look to the future, to invest in the future, to embrace disruption, to understand. If you walk around a yacht show, it's been a long time for any of us to do that, but if you walk around a yacht show, you'll be amazed if you just open your eyes if everyone opens their eyes for a second, looks around. The yacht show is not full of people like you and I. It's full of much younger people. As an industry, we have brilliant young people coming out of our ears. Every other industry is struggling to attract these young people, and we've got them in spades. Yeah. What we need to do is listen to them, to give them the opportunity, give them a career path. So they come, maybe they want to start on board, and then they want to come ashore for a bit because their life has changed and they're going to have a baby or get married. Then they want to go back to sea for a little while because they need some money to pay the mortgage, and provide an opportunity and a career path for young people to come into the industry, which is why we were so excited. And I'm personally very excited about our cadet program that we're running. Yeah. And then from that to show them a career path through the industry, right the way through to end up wherever they want to be. And in that way, we're going to keep these young people in the industry and invest for the future. The other aspect, of course, as we've been talking about, is the relationship with the potential client or the client, and that's something. As I said earlier, they're the best. They're the only ambassadors we have. Really, they are the best ambassadors. And if they have a positive experience in yachting, then they're going to tell 3 friends, and they're going to come and have a positive experience in yachting, and that's the way the industry is going to grow. There is no magic box full of investors that want to jump on this. It's going to, in my opinion, that's how it's going to grow. So we need to listen to what the owners and what the teams there want, and to engage with them to make sure that they get a very, very positive, a wonderful experience from what this wonderful industry we call yachting. Be proud of what we do, and service the client properly, basically.
Yeah, I think, Richie, that's a key factor here, is this whole thing about telling the owner what he needs to know, not what you think he needs to know. Does that make sense in terms of, there's a lot, you said earlier on about the cost of ownership or the budgets and things like that. You still hear horror stories where people are giving people expectations of a budget which is way off target, and therefore things go wrong. Should there be more transparency, Richie, in terms of what it really costs to own and operate and run a boat?
Well, I think across the industry, this comes back to something we talked about earlier, that in terms of frustrations, if someone's trying to go for a quick win, they're focused on the deal, they're motivated either financially or for whatever reason to close that deal. And in that way, you're motivating people to try to give the answer that the other party wants to hear. Yeah. And that's not necessarily the truth. And then it falls to someone else to say, actually, sir, or actually, ma'am, we do have to put fuel in it, or whatever it may be. So it's just, it's trying to get an understanding of what these things are. We've walked away from projects in the past, and I think the whole industry has to be brave enough to do that as well, to say, this is not what you're buying is not what you want. Now, don't get me wrong. I've been hounded before for saying that we need to be honest and try to open up to owners. I remember sitting on stage at GSF with you a long time ago, 10 years ago, and someone called me out. Someone from the audience asked, when we said about questions, the first question was that I'm an idiot because owners know what they want. They're no fools. And I said, it's absolutely true. They are no fools. They know what they want, but we know how to achieve that. 5 years, we were all sat there. Then iPads were the most popular thing in the world and the most amazing technology. We're all sat there with our iPads. 10 years earlier, none of us knew we needed an iPad, but now we all did.
Yeah.
So perhaps the owner doesn't know what he needs because he hasn't seen the technology, hasn't seen the opportunity. But if the owner's team can understand what the expectation experience is, we can start building into it. If this is a yacht that's going to be sitting in the warm waters of the Middle East, let's not worry too much about ice class. If you want to go up and see the glaciers, then let's start talking about recirculating generating. It's not something the owner needs to be interested in, but we just need to build the platform to be able to give them that experience. They're not buying meters cubed of space or meters of length of boat. They want the experience, and that's what we need to build for them.
Yeah. And I think that's a key factor is how we actually sort of sell the experience better. Because I think there's a lot of repetition, a lot of predictability in terms of the way we communicate. And your description there is very valid in terms of we have to take a lot more responsibility to show what is possible.
Yes.
At every single layer of the industry. There's still a change of tack, Richie. I want to just throw into that. You mentioned your what do you call it? The apprenticeship /
cadetship program. Yes.
So, what do you think is the future of the manning and the crew element to it? Because we hear from various clients that that's one of the biggest frustrations they have in terms of the turnover, quality, etc. of crew. How do we solve this problem?
I think that it's what we're talking about now is a creation of our own, a problem of our own making.
Yeah,
we need to focus on the captains, on the engineers, on the crew, and the team on board, because without them, there is no industry. We can stand by and pat ourselves on the back and build the most wonderful platform in the world, but without the team on board to run it, it's done. It's finished. It's done for. So yes, we've invested in the cadetship program, of course, which we're hoping others will follow. And please, anyone listening, jump on board. It's a wonderful thing. These are really exciting young people. It's not free, but it's not massively expensive either, and you can really have an impact in someone. Well, I'm also an ambassador for She of the Sea, trying to increase the diversity and things like that. And it's another thing we need to focus on to bring them in. The next stage of this is, as I mentioned earlier, is talking about career progression. These people that are coming into the industry as a cadet or as a deckhand or as an interior staff member, they're not going to be doing that all their lives. They want to progress through. For example, if one of our team in crewing decides they want to go on board and be a purser for a little while, my amazing crew operator, I don't cry about the fact that I'm about to lose an amazing crew operator. I celebrate the fact that this person going on for the next part of their journey. And I make sure they understand that when they've been and done their time as a purser and they're ready to come back ashore, call me, because I was excited to employ them now with the experience they have. So I'll be even more excited to employ them in 3 years' time when they've got all that experience of onboard activity and other such things. So just be open as an industry and allow these people to do it. And the elephant in the room for so long, which people didn't talk about, was mental health.
Yep.
We need to support the crew's mental health, but more recently with the pandemic as well, the mental health of our team ashore. We've got great people in business development, things like that within our organization. I'm sure everybody has, and they're very gregarious and outgoing people. And instead of being able to be surrounded by all these people, they're now in an apartment on their own. So we need to be there to support them. And it's something that I spoke to Brendan about years ago.
Yeah.
When we first talked about mental health, was if you look at this young person, you come from anywhere in the UK, take your pick, anywhere in the world, take your pick. All your friends are going to work in a factory, an office, or whatever they're going to do, and you've got the opportunity to work on yachting. You're going to fly down to Antigua, join a yacht, and you're going to be seeing the sunshine and everything else. Your friends, you're so lucky, it's amazing. And this young person jumps on a plane and flies down there. Suddenly they're away from their support network, their family, their friends, and everyone else they want to talk to. All the people on board are lovely people, but they don't know any of them. It's going to take time to build that relationship, and they don't feel strong enough to open up about how they're scared, they're nervous, they're missing their family. They phone home, they can't open up then either, because their friends, oh, you're so lucky, tell me about the gin and tonics, tell me about the rum, tell me this, that, and the other. And then they have an opportunity to say, actually, yeah, it's great, but I'm in a cabin, and I don't know what to do, and I'm scared, and the bosun scares me, and this happens, the other happens, whatever it may be. So we need to put in place the support network to get these young people over that hurdle and make them thrive in the industry. And then it's just not just at that point. I know that when I was very lucky when my daughter was born, my first child was born. I was working for Cayman at the time. They were wonderful, and they gave me plenty of time to be at home. When I went back into the office, I didn't travel too quickly, so I had time to get used to the idea and things like that. It's difficult when a member of the team, member of the crew, perhaps has a baby at home, what have you. You know, we need to be aware that there are, throughout their career, not just at the outset, you know, where they're suddenly a fish out of water, but throughout people's career, there are different demands and different reasons why their mental health may suffer. And we need, as an industry, if we're going to recruit and retain these amazing, fabulous, skilled people, then we need to make sure we've got support in place to help them throughout their career. And when I say them, it's you, it's me, it's everybody. We all need to be in this together.
Yeah. But on that topic of let's say, quality of crew, one of the things I'd like to just touch base on is you mentioned earlier on, and I think this is a very interesting area of the industry development. We're building the most complex, most exciting, interesting, sort of gargantuan projects, 50, 60, 100 meters plus. They're really, really exciting projects. In your opinion, are the crew fit for purpose as these boats become even more complex? And is our training developing them to the level we need? I'm thinking from your flag state past to now your current operational stance, because I worry about this in terms of the sheer scale, the sheer size, the sheer complexity versus the training and development they're getting, or the stepping stone they're getting. Fit for purpose?
Absolutely, you've hit the nail on the head. Training. We can't, as an industry or as a company or as an owner or anything else, not invest in training and expect everything to be okay. It's just not going to be that way. If you look at put the regulatory hat on for a second. If you look at the syllabus for a deck officer or for engineering officer or for any of the other things there, yes, there is a very good basic training there. There is a very good understanding there of what it is. But that syllabus is set out to put someone onto an oil tanker, a container ship, a passenger ship, a yacht, an offshore support vessel, any type of ship. And if we're now saying, okay, we want to take that person and put them on this vessel, which has dynamic positioning, it has high voltage, it has a huge bank of lithium-ion batteries because we want to snuggle quietly by the reef with all the generators switched off for a few hours while the owner's diving, etc., etc., etc. We need to invest in training those individuals to be able to do it. Yes, they are capable of doing it, but no one's capable until they're trained. We're all capable of driving a car, but none of us could do it until we were shown how. It's as simple as that. Training. So we as a company invest in training, and it is an investment. It's not you don't spend on training. When I was in Cayman, I did a DOC audit of a large chemical tanker company, and I spoke to the MD, and I said, well, let's talk about your training budget. And he said, there is no budget for training. And I said, what do you mean? You've got to invest in training? He said, no, there's no budget, because if I set a budget, it was an upper limit. He said, if you think training is expensive, try and go without it.
Yeah.
Crippling. So that's where it all comes down to. Yes, I understand that people do have concerns about the I hate to use the word quality of crew, but to simplify it, the quality of the crew going on the boat. But whose fault is that? It's not the fault of the individual. You've hired that individual, a chief engineer, for example, to come on this high voltage boat with all these batteries without thinking to yourself, that's not part of the standard package. This boat is not a standard boat. We need to invest a little bit and let him understand, let him, her, whoever it may be, understand what is involved in this, to train them for the specifics of this yacht. Okay. And in doing so, we're upskilling the entire industry.
So on that topic then, Richie, who pays for it?
Well, if you buy a Lamborghini, then you need to learn how to drive a Lamborghini. I think as an industry, we all need to invest in this. As I said, with our cadet program, yes, we're paying for that. The owners don't pay for it. We're very, very lucky that we're supported by a number of very open-minded owners who are making their yachts available for us to put the cadets on when they need their sea time, when they're doing their learning, etc. And everyone that's come out has been snapped up straight away because these are enthusiastic and fabulous young people. But that's a cost to us. Every time I take a cadet on, it takes £30,000 out of the tin. Yeah, simple as that. And we stomach that. But I would suggest that if you're taking on a boat with a huge bank of lithium-ion batteries, to stick with that analogy, then you need to invest in making sure that you can get the most. You've invested a huge amount of money in buying this boat. You need to invest a little bit more to make sure you can actually operate and enjoy this boat.
So are you suggesting that maybe within the whole budget of building or owning, there should be a training thought process that comes from the top down, from the owner down?
Absolutely.
more vocal conversation about it.
Absolutely, because it's not only things like that. You know, if you think of there's a huge amount of bridge training needed for the equipment there. You know, the GMDSS kit and other such things that all need specific training for specific parts of kit. You've got the general training, the specific training. So we need that training when the boat comes on. You know, taking on a team like when we've always put for, there's a team. I'm not here to advertise, so I'm not going to name them, but there's a team that we've always used, we regularly use or regularly put forward to say, okay, look, the crew are all moving on the boat. We would like them to get some training to get the best out of that boat. And it's not very, very expensive. We'd like to bring this team in. Whilst they're there, every member of the crew goes through every escape hatch, goes through every part of the boat, learns what all the kit is. They put on every life jacket, every type of life jacket, once only suit, all these other things. They all get to wear an Elsa. They all get to hold the fire hose and understand what type of twist locks or snap locks or pull locks or whatever it is on every fire hose. And it's simple things like that. The owner has spent a huge amount of money buying this platform, and we're going to spend a tiny amount of money training this team to actually operate it safely, effectively, and give him the best opportunity he can have.
Yeah. What can we learn, Richie, from your, let's say, parent company in the industry your parent company's in the commercial shipping world?
I think every day is a school day at the end of the day. There's a huge amount that we can learn from them. There's a huge amount they can learn from us. Anyone who can't see that is blinkered, I would suggest. We're very, very lucky. I'm very, very lucky in the team that I run. We are a dedicated yacht management team. We are yachting professionals, and we have it in our DNA. And there's a big firewall between us and the rest of the group. But should something go wrong, I can open the little door in that wall and say, okay, 2 superintendents, 3 naval architects, and an engineer, go, and I can get all the support and assistance that I need. But looking at budgeting, looking at planning, no one buys. Jochen is into in commercial shipping, as you say. He's into container ships in a big way. No one goes into buying a new container ship or 5 container ships or taking on an existing container ship without an understanding of what they're going to do with it and how much it costs to run it and budgeting it for the next 5 years. Understanding, are you buying this boat 6 weeks before its next special survey, so you're about to be hit with a massive dry dock bill, or are you buying it 6 weeks after and you can go and enjoy yourself in the Caribbean? You know, just looking slightly long term. So one of the things that we've been doing for a couple of our clients, which we offer to everybody, but not everybody wants it, obviously, is to look at, okay, over the next 5 years of a survey cycle, over the next 15 years or how long you want to own this boat, these are the sorts of periods and these are the time scales that we're going to need to have the boat for maintenance to maintain it in the standard you want to have it. These are the sorts of costs that are going to be involved in that. And then on top of that, to operate the boat, we're looking at these sorts of things. And where there's specific concerns, back to the training again, we'd like to be able to provide training to the crew to maintain them. And training also brings a huge amount. You mentioned turnover of crew earlier. Investing in the crew reduces turnover. It means that when you go back to the boat, you're seeing the same faces, and it's a whole package. You need to see it as a whole thing, and that's the only way I think we're going to win. So something that the commercial world was on years and years ago, and the yachting world is now dealing with, but there's some teams who still think that, oh, well, when we need more money, we dip our bucket and well carry on. And there may be some owners that don't mind that because it's an indulgence, etc. But in my experience, no one likes to be robbed, and you need to get good value, and you need to be open and honest. We are paid to represent the best interests of our client. I'm not putting someone forward because there's a backhander or a subsidy or something like that. I'm putting someone forward because I think they are the best person for that job. You know, and we all need to address that in the same way.
Little sort of topic that often comes up, Richie, is the cost of yacht management versus the yacht versus ship management. No, it's just an interesting subject. I think is always worth exploring. Is this something that you think will change and be almost driven down by the efficiencies or the new systems coming into play?
I think that ship management and yacht management so when Döhle first moved into yachting nearly 15 years ago, there's a lovely story that youve, who is an excellent short sea captain. He's retired now, but he was a short sea captain, spent a lot of time working commercial ships, moved to the Isle of Man to set up the first manning agency for the Döhle family, which is what first started there, and went on from there. He went down to the Monaco Yacht Show, and he walked around that show, and he came away having learned one very valuable lesson, which is what been at the heart of the success of DPC and Döhle Yachts from the outset. He walked away knowing that he speaks ship and he doesn't speak yacht. And that's been at the heart of the DNA of our organization all the way through. There is a significant difference between ship management and yacht management. Ship management, you're going to leave Southampton on the rising tide. You're going to stop in Gibraltar to get some fuel, cheap fuel, getting off in Aldricracus, and you're going to make most efficient speed up to Italy, where you're going to pick this up. And that's how ship management works. Yacht management, we don't know where we're going yet, because the owner had a few drinks last night and isn't up yet. When they get up, the first person they're going to speak to is perhaps not me, definitely not me, none of our team, not even the captain perhaps. The first person they're going to speak to about the day is perhaps the person that brings them the boiled egg for their breakfast. And they're going to say, actually, I think we'll have a lazy day. I want a picnic on that beach, or let's go somewhere to go scuba diving, or whatever it is. So I can't plan where the yacht's going to be. I can't say when the chief's going to get off or get on or anything else like that, because after that individual that took the boiled egg to them does that, the next person they talk to might be the purser or the mate, and then they're going to talk to the captain. And eventually, we're going to find out where they're going. But it's a very different animal, so you can't really compare the two. However, yes, embrace disruption. It's not only, we talked about brokerage and those things earlier, but we're not only going to be. It's not. I think the yacht management arm of this industry, to call it a better, to try to pigeonhole it, has to be looking forward, looking at all these young people who can innovate and change things. You know, innovation is not the same as evolution. It happens. It's not a gradual change. It's one way and then it's the other way. So we need to be aware of this. We need to look for these things, embrace disruption, look for it, and then pass on the benefits that brings. Yeah. If it means that I cut my cost by 50%, why shouldn't I share that dividend, that premium with my clients? Because if I don't, someone else will, and I'll go where the dodo. So it's back to honesty again. You know, I believe that the pricing structure for yacht management will change. The services being offered will change. People are asking. We're seeing clients ask for a lot more services, a lot more support than traditionally they would have had. As yachts have got bigger, smaller yachts, perhaps the chief engineer and the captain would prepare the docking and everything else themselves. As the yachts have got bigger or being used more, the owner of the yachts are making a huge amount more use. They haven't had the time to do that. So a team ashore are doing that. We're moving that, you know, and so it's changing. Yeah. I'm excited about where we're going, even though I don't know where it is. How mad is that?
I think the final thing is, so you've almost said what you think, but your expectation for the future. What are you thinking is on the horizon 5 or 10 years from now? What's still growing at this pace? More growth, less growth? What's your crystal ball looking like?
I think, well, unlike a number of the people you've interviewed over this series, I've been in yachting 15 years. So I've not been here for 30 years. I didn't take the command of my first yacht in 1970. These sorts of things. So I've had a very exciting ride for the last 15 years, and I see another very exciting ride for the next 15 years. I'm hugely optimistic about this industry, and everywhere I look, I see more reason to be optimistic. I think we're going to see continued growth in the numbers of yachts. Yes, new building took a big hit a few years ago and it slowed right down. There are less people building now. There are less yards involved in building now and such things. However, the quality, the standards are there. We're seeing much better cost control, much better time control. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful time, which can only go on to mean that owners are getting a fabulous experience from what they're doing, etc. So that's a positive. And then, as I said earlier, our greatest ambassadors, they tell two friends who tell two friends who tell two friends. So my crystal ball says for the next 15, 20 years, or whatever, all the times you want to look at, is continued growth. I don't think it's going to be a massive sharp uptick and then a flat line. I think we're going to see a continued organic growth in the size and scale of the industry and the services that we provide to our client base. So we've seen submarines enter the industry. We've seen hovercrafts coming into the industry. We've seen more integration between helicopters and shore-based facilities with the yachts. We've seen yachts looking at, okay, this is my villa. I want to make sure I can tie up very close to the end of the dock and these sorts of things. I think it's going to be more bespoke, more widespread things. We're looking to more these experiences going further flung, not just on the milk run between the Caribbean and the Mediterranean. Just because Sophia Loren loved it doesn't mean that the next .com billionaire is going to love it. But I'm optimistic, and I think the industry is going to continue to grow.
Yeah. Any particular barriers, do you think, that we have to be focused on?
I think
lots, but I'm just thinking anything you're worried about.
Well, as I said, as the theme of this whole event, I think managing expectation. As long as we see that as the huge positive it is, as long as we see the expectation is driven by a need, by a desire, by a want, and we need to work out how we can facilitate that. And we need to be honest about it. You know, I'm involved in a build where the galley is on the main deck in a place where normal you and I would put a lounge. And it makes no sense whatsoever. But it does make sense when you talk to the owning couple who are not a young couple and they enjoy cooking with their grandchildren. So they want the galley on the main deck and they want an open window so they can be in there doing that. It meets for their needs. Yes, resale value, not a positive thing. Access to the charter market, not a positive thing. They're not interested in either of those two things. They're interested in baking with the grandchildren, and good luck to them.
Yeah.
You know? So I think the barrier is remembering, I'm the worst for this because I talk all the time, as you know, but remembering there is a ratio. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and that's there for a reason. We need to listen, we need to understand, and we need to serve our clients. It's that simple.
Very simple, Richie. Thanks a million for your time. Always a pleasure to speak to you, and I look forward to seeing you for a beer one day very soon. Richie Blake, you're
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Martin. I'll see you again soon, buddy. Thank you.
See you soon.